Hi guys, she's back. Okay, so this video is, I'm going to make this video short. This video is a time travel exercise, okay? A time travel exercise. What is a time travel exercise? We are going to, in our physical body right now, we are going to go back in time in your life. I'm going to show you a basic step on how to go back in time in your life to change something that you did, okay, an action that you put forth in a time before that caused, okay, your timeline, which is your life, okay, to go in another direction that was not positive, right? So it's a basic exercise. We're going to time travel to change actions that were made in the past that caused you to be in a negative position today. Okay, we're going to do this. And some of you are like, okay, oh, okay, this sounds really strange. Listen, you don't even know half the technology that the government has. Okay, you think we're the only beings in this universe? Why is it that time is not a constant in the universe, but time is a constant on planet Earth? Hmm? Huh? Okay, so anyway, This exercise is this exercise is specific for anyone who's, let's say you've been abused, let's say you had some kind of negative action happen to you because of people. Let's say you did something that was negative that's causing you a lot of problems today. Let's say you made a decision. How many times have someone said, I wish I could go back in time and undo something that I did? I've said that. I've said that. And then I discovered that I could actually do it. Guys, there are pyramids all over this planet. Okay? There are pyramids all over this planet. Okay? And on those pyramid walls, we see that these people interacted with advanced civilization that had no concept of the time that we live in. Okay? We're not just a physical body living on a physical plane, guys. There's more to this world and more to this universe that meets the eye. I am not saying that you go into the spirit realm and to get yourself in trouble. No, 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 no. I am not advocating that. I will never advocate anyone, going into the spirit realm and getting themselves in trouble, right? Because it's much bigger and stronger than we are. But there are simple exercises that you and I can do to go back in time and make some changes. How many times have you said, oh, I wish I never met that person? Oh, I wish I never did that. Oh, I wish I could go back in time and fix that. Because that action that you did a couple of years ago caused you a lot of problems in the future that you could not foresee then. And how many times have you said, okay, I wish I had like or how many times have you said, in hindsight, how many times have you said, in hindsight, I wish I knew, looking back in hindsight, I wish I knew this was going to happen, so I would have better been prepared? Or how many of you took a course, okay, how many of you, began to work on an endeavor, right, and didn't know what you were doing, and it caused you a lot of loss, and then you discovered, look, if I took this course, I would have had the necessary tools to help me to navigate what I was doing. Hindsight is always 2020. It's always 2020, right? That's the old saying. So what we're going to do is we're going to use hindsight as a tool. So your mistakes and the actions and the trajectory of that mistake, okay, the timeline of that mistake today, what we're going to do is we're going to use the keys that you have today, which is hindsight, and we're going to go back in time and we're going to undo actions by you or someone else, okay, using a simple technique to change your timeline for a more positive future, right? And the reason why I'm doing this, I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm doing this because it's an exercise that I've been doing that's been getting me a lot of fruit, a lot of positive responses, right? So this is something I want to share. I'm not sharing too much, but This is something I want to share. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to establish the correct sphere. You want your brain in the right place. You want your body in the right place, and you want your spirit in the right place. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to be still and just listen to my voice. Okay? I want you to examine your life and go back as far as you need to go back. Now, think about whatever issue you're dealing with at present. Okay? It could be, the after effects of abuse. It could be the after effects of ill treatment, maltreatment, the loss of a job, the loss of a loved one, um, slander campaign, whatever it is. Okay, we're dealing with just, this is specifically not for positive things that happened in your past. You don't want to erase positive things that happened in your past and good people that happened in your past. You want that to follow through. Okay, what we want to do is we want to go back and we want to undo negative things that's following us into the future and causing us problems. That's what we want to undo, and that's what we want to break. So I want you to think right now. I want your mind to be in this place, and I want you to raise your spirit. Okay? And by raising your spirit and your mind, I want you to think about that one experience that has followed you. It's negative, and it's followed you. The effects of it has followed you into the future and caused you problems. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is go back in time right now in your mind. Go back in time right now where you are in your mind. And I want you to go as far back to a time right before that where your life was good. Okay? You want to go before that, prior to that, where your life was good. Okay? Because what we want to do is we want to cut off that negative aspect so that that positive aspect that was good prior to it can follow through into the future. That's what we want. Okay? Guys, this is not about raising the dead, bringing your loved ones back, and some actions come with consequences. Okay? Remember that. Some actions come with consequences. So be aware of that, right? Severe consequences, right? So be aware of that. But as much of the damage that we can negate, we're going to negate it today, right? Okay, so go back to the place where you were happy prior to that action. Okay, and I want you to stay there for a second. Okay, and while you're there, okay, you're going to look into the future. Now you're using hindsight as your looking glass. Okay, you're using hindsight. That is what you know now about that action, what you experience today about that action. You're going to take hindsight with you as you go back to that place, and we're going to start prior to that action. Okay, and take the knowledge that you have today with you. Okay, okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to take one step forward in your spirit, in your mind, into that place where the action occurred. Okay, this might be very traumatic for some people. If it's a really, really, really traumatic experience, do not participate in this exercise until you're strong enough. Okay? Do not participate in this until you're strong enough. Okay? Because I don't want anyone being triggered, and I sure as hell don't want anyone to be shorted out, okay, and suffer some kind of like an anxiety attack. Okay, you got to be strong enough to be able to do this exercise. I should have put this disclaimer up there, right? So what I want you to do is, you're still in hindsight mode. Okay, you're still in hindsight mode, and you're back in time. You're in hindsight mode, but you're back in time. Okay, you're going to take one step into that time where the negative action occurred. where the negative action occurred, where the negative people occurred, into that negative environment. You're going to take one step into it, but you're going in there with hindsight. The knowledge that you gained prior to this action that's caused you so much problems. Okay, now you're standing in that place where this action occurred. Okay, you're standing in there. Okay, but you have hindsight with you. You have hindsight with you. So you're in that place where it's occurred. The people are there. In that place, you know who your enemies are because you have hindsight. You know who your friends are because you have hindsight. You know who did it. You know who wasn't involved because you have hindsight, right? Hindsight is with you, right? The knowledge that you gained from this action, you have with you, okay? And you're standing in this place. You know what was done and all the things that was done, right? All the things that were done, right? And it's there with you. And it's there with you, okay? So the first thing you want to do is you want to surveil certain activities. You want to surveil who your friends are, okay? Because what we're going to do is we're going to destruct or destroy what was done. And we're going to use your tools that you gained in hindsight. That's the knowledge that you gained in hindsight, okay? We're going to put that in place of the actions that occurred. So that way, what was done in the past and the negative consequences can no longer follow you into the future, right? We're going to undo some of this damage today. Now, I want you to surveil certain areas. I want you to surveil where you are. You need to know where you are because that's where the damage occurred. You need to surveil the people around you. You need to surveil your relationships. You need to look at your job, where you're working. You need to look at your finances because a lot of times negative actions that occur against people impact their finances and make them give them the inability to take care of themselves. You want to surveil what opportunities that were lost. You want to surveil the depth and the damage of this. Now you're going to be like a surgeon, okay? So you want to know as much about the abscess as possible while you're in this area with the powers of hindsight, okay? What you learned throughout the course of this action, what this taught you going into the future, you're using this as your weapon in the past, okay? So you want to surveil everything because a lot of times when you have hindsight, you say to yourself, I knew it. Why didn't I? You know, all the signs were there. In hindsight, all the signs were there, but for some reason I was blindsided. These are things we say in hindsight. These are things we say looking back, right? Okay. Now I want you to pinpoint what occurred. I want you in your mind and your spirit. You're taking one step. What occurred? And that's going to trigger your mind and your spirit to bring it up. Okay? We're going to destroy it. We're going to destroy what they did or what you did. Okay? We're going to break it. What I want you to do is to put a stamp on it. You need to know when it occurred. Okay? Because some of these things are cyclical. Some of these things are not one-time things. Some of these things are intergenerational. Some of these things are just cycles. You know, like the earth has cycles. They have cycles of good and they have cycles of evil. And it seems like the cycle of evil is just taking over everything on this planet. But we're going to have to deal with this, right? So what we want to do is we want to put a stamp on it. We want to see, is this a generational cycle? Is this a one-time mistake? Is it just a cycle in the earth of good and evil? whatever it is, we want to break it, right? Now we want to see, this is why you were surveilling before, okay? Now notice what investigators do. When a murder occurs, these are the tools investigators use to solve crimes. We are using the exact same tools investigators use, we're using them spiritually, right? So you want to know who was involved. So this is why you were surveilling every area of your life when you took that one step into where the action occurred. Okay? Now you need to know, what did they do? What didn't they do? Okay? You need to know these things. You need to know, what did you do and what didn't you do? You need to know your actions and your inactions. Because what we're going to do to use foresight, the knowledge of hindsight, in place of some of these things that you did or didn't do. Because sometimes what you did caused it to be worse, or sometimes what you didn't do caused it to get worse, right? Now, here's what I want you to do. Now, take a step back, and I want you now to come out of that time where this action, this negative action took place, and I want you to slowly come back into the present. Okay? Come back into the present. Now, I want you to begin to detail how it affected you. How did these negative things affected you once the action occurred, once the action was released in the past? You want to be able to show how these things affected you. How did it affect you? How did it affect you? And you want to look for cycles and patterns. Now, with this information, with this strategic information that we got from the past, and with the knowledge of hindsight, what we're going to do is we're going to destroy a code. Okay? I told you, if someone does you wrong, you can get an apology. They don't have to apologize to you physically, but you can get an apology. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to break these things. We're going to break these things. What I need you to do is I need you, and it's very simple how you break these things. We're going to go back at what you learned when you took hindsight with you. Hindsight, they are your key. It's your keys. Hindsight is your key. Okay, so everything that you've learned since that negative action occurred, we're going to take all this knowledge, right? Then when you stepped back into the past, there were things that you overlooked, that you discovered when you went back into this area. You're going to take all these things into account, right? And what you're going to do is you're going to use what you learned along the way after the action occurred, and you're going to impose it upon, one, the action that occurred, the people that did it, the place that it happened. Okay, you can do this verbally. I'm telling you, the universe listens. In creation listens, whether it's good or whether it's evil. It listens. Okay, not only does it listen, it acts. Okay, it acts. It either acts against you or it acts on your behalf. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all the knowledge that you gain in hindsight, and you're going to use it, area, that action, and the people who did it to you. Okay, you're going to impose what you learn upon that action. For example, whenever a person is violent, they say, how could you do this to me? You're going to take that and impose it upon what was done. You're going to force a spiritual apology out of them. And that's how you're going to do it. So you're going to take everything you've learned. You're going to take your anger. You're going to take your pain. You're going to take your suffering. You're going to take your rage. You're going to take the things that you learned. You're going to take the things that you saw. You're going to take the things that you experienced. You're going to take the knowledge that you gained. And you're going to go back to that one area. And you're going to put the full weight of everything that you have discovered about it on that area until it breaks. And when you break it, you superimpose your will upon that area. Now, how do you do that? You must declare, for example, if you've ever been abused, you must declare upon that area of your life that that area is no longer an area for abuse. That door is shut, okay? And they no longer have access to that area. And you must impose upon that area justice. Okay? So these are some tools that I learned. Try it out. Let me know what you think. And I'm waiting to hear from you. Okay? So have a great evening and love you. Stay cool.